What's up, everybody? Episode 2 of the It's Good Show is here. We are not live still. YouTube is still giving me issues with live streaming. I think I have to wait like 2 months of the channel's activity or something like that. But I'm going to record it. I am recording this on Wednesday, March 23rd. I wanted to get this out really on Monday, the 21st. But here in Texas, we had quite the day of tornadoes in the area and stuff. So, I wasn't able to do it Monday. Thank God nothing happened where I'm at. We lucked out again when it comes to all that. Then yesterday I was going to do it, but yesterday I had some stuff to do that I wasn't able to do Monday because of all the tornado warnings and stuff. So I'm doing it now. We are less than 24 hours away from the Sweet 16. And we have a lot to talk about today. We are going to cover the playing games. We're going to cover the first and second round. We're going to preview the Sweet 16 and possibly Elite 8 matchups. We're going to go over It's No Good and as well as It's Good. So we got a lot to go over. So let's just get this all started. And first we're going to cover the playing games. We had 2 playing games last Tuesday on the 15th. The first one we saw Texas A&M Corpus Christi fall to Texas Southern, 67-76. Not that exciting of a game. Was watching it here and there. But yeah, a couple 16 seeds going at it, a couple Texas teams going at it as well. Good for Texas Southern to get it out of the play-in and get into the actual tournament itself. Then we saw Indiana beat Wyoming 66-58. From a lot of the preview shows and stuff going over the playing games, it felt like this was almost like a pick'em. I felt like Indiana was a heavy favorite just based on their performance in the Big Ten tournament. And they made me look good with that. 66-58, a hell of a good win for Indiana getting in the tournament. The next night, Wednesday, the 16th, we saw Bryant fall to Wright State, 82-93. Another battle of a couple 16 seeds. Didn't really watch much of that game either. But then the game I was focused on, for bias reasons, of course, was the Notre Dame and Rutgers game. This game went to double overtime. As you see, Rutgers fell 89-87 in double OT. A lot of people are still saying this is the best game in the tournament so far this year. Crazy game. And the fact that Notre Dame won on technically it was St. Patrick's Day when the game was over. So luck of the Irish there. Story for me, I ended up not being able to watch either the first or second overtime due to having to do some work. And I didn't want to be distracted because I did have a lot of work to do, and I didn't want to be up super late because I do get up early to go to work in the mornings. But hell of a game. Disappointed Rutgers didn't get in the actual bracket part of the tournament. But a hell of a game overall. And, those guys over there, they got nothing to be ashamed of. So that's our play-in stuff. Notre Dame, Wright State, Texas Southern, and Indiana all win, and they're in. Now, here we go. First day of the first round on last Thursday. We see Michigan 75-63 over Colorado State. And wow, Michigan. They seemed, honestly, in the Big Ten tournament like they were dead in the water after blowing that huge lead against Indiana. But came out strong and a good convincing win over Colorado State. Yeah, Colorado State was seeded higher, but Michigan, really good team this year, so sort of misleading being an 11 versus 6 seed in my opinion. Next we have Providence against South Dakota State. Providence winning. Providence, the Big East regular season champions, winning 66-57. No upset there, no surprise there in that matchup. Next, we had Memphis and Boise State. I picked them, my bracket. My bracket got busted first day, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Memphis ended up winning 64-53. I did pick Memphis in my bracket. I felt even though they had lost their tournament final, their conference tournament final to Houston, the fact that they picked up 2 wins against Houston during the regular season and how physical Memphis plays, I thought it was a pretty safe bet picking them over Boise State. So yeah, Memphis with the big tournament win to get into the second round. The defending champions, Baylor, winning 85-49, no 16 over a 1 upset here. Pretty convincing win. No surprise here that Baylor was able to beat Norfolk State. Next, we have Longwood versus Tennessee. I picked Tennessee here. I feel Tennessee is so strong looking based on their SEC tournament that they won, but not just the final against A&M. They looked really strong throughout the tournament, and they looked pretty strong throughout the season. The SEC was a very tough conference this year in college basketball. Very surprising, but yeah, 88-56, big win for the Volunteers, and good on them to keep going strong and not to have that conference tournament win hangover. Here is where my bracket got busted. I did pick Iowa over Richmond. I think most people probably picked Iowa to do very well in the tournament. They seemed like they had a lot of momentum out of the Big Ten tournament. And the fact that they lost to Richmond, and Richmond obviously big upset win. They had momentum from beating Davidson in their conference tournament final. And both these teams I was very angry at anyway, because I think both of these teams are the reasons why Rutgers had to play a play-in game. The fact that Richmond won their conference tournament against Davidson to get in, and the fact that Iowa beat Rutgers in the quarterfinals in the Big Ten tournament. Iowa losing out to Richmond, huge upset right here. Next, we have number 1 seed and I believe the number 1 overall seed, Gonzaga, taking on Georgia State. Gonzaga, looking really strong still. No surprise here. No upset. Zags weren't in any kind of trouble in this game, so pretty convincing win there. North Carolina Marquette, an 8 and 9 seed. You really think could be a pick'em, could be a toss-up. North Carolina looks so good, not just in this game, but they looked good. They've looked good probably about a couple weeks before they beat Duke in Coach K's final home game. Then they beat Duke pretty convincingly. And yeah, they fell to Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament, but Virginia Tech was really good in that tournament anyway. North Carolina is a strong team, and you don't sleep on them. They're really good, and this right here, not a surprise at all. Next, we have a pretty big upset, in my opinion. New Mexico State beating UConn, and it's not just based on the seeds. UConn looked really good this year in the Big East. Big wins against Villanova, big wins against other teams in the conference. Did very well in the tournament, made the semis. Ended up losing to Creighton though in the semifinals. Very surprised UConn was not able to get out of the first round here. Again, not based on their seeding, just based on how they were doing this year in the competition they played and not just competed against, but beat. So, props to New Mexico State. Right here, we have our first real, I think, big Cinderella story of the tournament. St. Peter's out of Jersey City, New Jersey, beating the number 2 seed, Kentucky. Man, Coach Cal, sorry, man, but yeah, St. Peter's, big win here, huge upset. The upset, the Cinderella story right now of the tournament. So far through the first round here, at least, absolutely nuts. Big props to them. A very small school, and man, coming in here, nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose in this game. And, took Kentucky to overtime. And, when you take a team like that to overtime, the veteran team is going to, be able to come out on top. And unfortunately for Kentucky, it didn't happen. My thing is, if Iowa didn't bust your bracket, this probably did. This definitely probably busted a lot more people's brackets than the Iowa defeat. But yeah, right here, crazy story. St. Peter's over Kentucky, 15 over a 2 seed. We had a lot of overtime games the first round, surprisingly. Next, we have an 8 and 9 seed. Again, another toss-up sort of matchup. San Diego State looked very good this year. Creighton did pretty well in the Big East overall, but in the tournament itself, making it to the Big East tournament final, ended up unfortunately falling to Villanova. Creighton is a very physical team. They play very traditional style Big East basketball. They're going to play defense. They're not going to throw up a ton of points. Surprised they got 72 here, but it did take overtime to get to 72 points. But yeah, they're not going to throw up a ton of points on you. But man, great win for Creighton. They got that momentum. Yeah, they fell to Nova in the final of the Big East tournament, but man, they were just looking good in that tournament as a whole. So. Big win for them, and it was a bounce back because on their senior day they fell at home to Seton Hall. So, props to them. Props to San Diego State. A really good year this year for them as well. Now we have St. Mary's against Indiana. Indiana's Cinderella run, I guess, ended here pretty convincingly against St. Mary's. I did pick Indiana to beat St. Mary's. The seeding didn't matter. I thought the momentum they had, and once I saw they made it out of the play-in game, I was going with Indiana. I didn't have them going to the Sweet 16, but I did have them getting out of the first round. But yeah, big win by St. Mary's, showing you why they're a 5 seed for sure. 29-point win. Next, we had Arkansas and Vermont. Close game, yeah, 4 and a 13 seed. That's a really close game, especially for the gap in seeding. Vermont's a tournament team, veteran, so that's not a surprise to me that they were able to hang with Arkansas for as much as they did. Arkansas, another one of the strong teams out of the SEC. Like I said, SEC had a crazy strong year this year in college basketball. So yeah, Arkansas gets the dub, but Vermont, showing what happens when you're a veteran team of the tournament. So good game there, high scoring. UCLA and Akron, man, UCLA is another team that I think can go far in the tournament, but man, that's a scary matchup right there. That's almost like a trap game for them. 4-point win against a 13 seed Akron, but again they got the job done and will advance into the round of 32. But yeah, UCLA is a team I picked to go pretty far. Next, we have San Francisco and Murray State. This, I think, was really a pick-em. You could have gone with either one of these two. You might want to go with Murray. Yeah, they won. They're the higher seed, but this was sort of just a pick-em to me. I believe I picked Murray State in my bracket. I did my bracket the morning of first round matchup. I did it like 2 hours before tip-off because I wasn't going to do it until the playing games were over. So yeah, Murray State, San Francisco, a pick'em game. Good props to Murray State for getting the win and getting into the round of 32. And our final matchup on the first day of the first round was Kansas and Texas Southern here. No chance of an upset here. Kansas, I feel, is so strong. In my opinion, they're the number 1 seed that looked the strongest. They might not be the overall number 1 seed, but they were the number 1 seed that looked and looks the absolute strongest going into this tournament. So, good props for Texas Southern, I guess, for making the tournament. But Kansas proving why they're a number 1 seed here for sure. We now get to Friday, day 2 of the first round, and this is something else. This match here, Loyola Chicago and Ohio State, and it's not because I'm an Ohio State hater. I don't like Ohio State, but I picked Loyola Chicago to beat Ohio State. I might have mentioned in the first episode that I might have gone that way. I did go that way because Loyola Chicago looked good in the tournament previously. So I thought I thought it was a trap game. I did mention that. I thought it was a trap game for Ohio State. Ohio State did not let the trap game get to them and ended up getting a pretty convincing win over Loyola Chicago. But yeah, this was a game I definitely thought Loyola Chicago was gonna take, and that was one of my few real big upsets I was picking in the first round. And it's not based on seeding. The upset I think is it's Ohio State. They're really good and they had a good Big Ten season. Next, we have a number 2 seed, Auburn, taking on Jacksonville State. Auburn, very strong this year. SEC regular season winners. Not really a competitive matchup here. 80-61. Auburn's still looking pretty good. So, definitely, good. I think for a lot of these bigger teams, the first game sort of feels like the hardest because you just want to get out of the first round. Once you get out of the first round, then you can, then you have momentum, and then let's go. So yeah, Auburn, big win. Not letting the tournament jitters get to them or anything like that. Not letting the hype of winning the SEC regular season or being a number 2 seed get to them either. So props to Auburn. Next we have Texas Tech versus Montana State. 3-14. Score says it all. Texas Tech absolutely dominating, almost throwing up triple digits. So, Montana State, you made the tournament. Props to you on that. But Texas Tech, this wasn't, I don't feel this was any kind of a trap game, any kind of a pick 'em, anything like that. Even though, 3 versus 14, you really don't think that it could be that. But yeah, Texas Tech definitely just, showed why they're a 3 seed. Yale Purdue here, another one, not really that competitive. Purdue dominating regular season in the Big Ten. Number 3 seed. Yale, had a crazy good win against Princeton in the Ivy League championship, in the Ivy League tournament. But yeah, Purdue, too strong, too physical, and a big win for them. Delaware Nova. This was another interesting matchup because Nova and Delaware, when they've previously played, not really in the tournament, but when they've previously played, have been a lot closer. And Delaware's been able to give Nova scares. This time, Villanova did not come in, overlooking Delaware at all. Villanova came in very strong. And big 20-point win, number 2 seed, what they should do. They did what they should do. We're going to go over to a fun matchup here. Miami and USC. You usually think of a big matchup here being for college football, not really college basketball. But this was a very good matchup. USC had a very good year in the Pac-12. Miami, a decent regular season in the ACC, but a really physical and strong showing in the ACC tournament, in my opinion. Yeah, they lost to Duke, but man, they hung with Duke the entire game. And I did pick Miami in this matchup, so this was one of those lower seeds I picked. But again, a 10 and a 7 is almost a pick 'em a lot of times. I don't consider it a major upset or anything like that. So yeah, props to Miami. USC played a hell of a game, and they had a hell of a regular season. Notre Dame and Bama. So this matchup's funny. I picked Bama, but if it would have been Rutgers versus Bama, I was gonna go with Rutgers, and it's not being the bias thing. I was gonna pick Rutgers, and I would have probably picked them to get out in the second round. I thought Rutgers had a much better matchup against Alabama than Notre Dame did, and the big reason why I picked Bama once the play-in was over was the fact that Bama was rested. Bama had a really good regular SEC season. This is probably one of their best seasons in a long time in college basketball. And Notre Dame, that double overtime instant classic from, basically a night or 2 nights earlier. I thought that was, there was no way they were going to come out and be able to, have that same intensity, after playing a double overtime game and with all the emotion of playing to get in the bracket. but they did, and a strong showing against Alabama, and Notre Dame advanced. Next, we have Virginia Tech and Texas. This was another one of my incorrect picks, which I guess are a lot. I thought Virginia Tech, just with all that momentum from the ACC tournament, beating UNC, beating Duke, and not just beating them very convincingly in the semis and the finals. Texas is a good team. Nothing against Texas, but when you go back-to-back nights and you pretty much physically and scoreboard-wise dominate UNC and Duke, how are you going to go against that? But, Texas said, we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We're a 6th seed. We also had a really good regular season and, took care of business. So, yeah, I thought Virginia Tech was going to I thought Tech was going to get this Sweet 16. But, good win for Texas. Next, we had Illinois and Chattanooga. Holy crap, what a game. This is insane. Illinois, 4 seed, 13 seed Chattanooga. Illinois led this game for only the last 30 seconds of the game, I believe. I watched the end of the game, and all I kept thinking was, oh, well, another big pick of mine is losing. And, my God, to win how they did and to win, to score, the go-ahead field goal with 30 seconds left, and you lead the last 30 seconds of the game only because you didn't lead any other part of the game. Absolutely insane. That's why it's madness. And you got to feel for those kids at Chattanooga. Man, they were 30 seconds away from not just a huge upset, but getting into the second round for winning a tournament game. So you got to feel for them, but big props for Illinois for showing up in clutch time. Next, you have Duke over Cal State Fullerton. Pretty dominating win. In my bracket, I did pick Duke. No matter how bad they've been looking lately, there was no way I was going to pick Fullerton to beat them. That would have just been foolish. Absolutely foolish. Maybe if I had just bet on the individual game, maybe. But, nah, in the bracket-wise, I wasn't going to go pick against Duke over Cal State Fullerton. Big win for them. Definitely a confidence builder as well, which was needed. They lost to UNC in the final home game of Coach K, which has been mentioned many times before, many times by me, it seems. Struggled in the ACC tournament. It's funny, a team that makes the ACC tournament final, and you're saying they struggled? Yeah, they struggled. They barely got up past Syracuse and barely got past Miami. And then just got beat up by Virginia Tech, which Tech beat up them and UNC. But yeah, big win for Duke, much needed. Next, we're going to go and see Wright State falling to the number 1 seed, and I believe the number 2 seed overall, Arizona. Arizona looked really good, as they should. Pretty dominant win, and showing why they are one of the number 1 seeds and the number 2 seed overall in this bracket. So we'll see what happens from them going forward, but no real tournament jitters here for the number 1 seed, Arizona. Next, I guess sort of an upset, Iowa State over LSU. I did pick LSU in this matchup, but a 6 and 11 seed almost at times feels like a pick'em. I thought LSU looked really good during the regular season. They played in a tough SEC conference this year, but Iowa State, didn't really care about any of that and got a nice 5-point victory. So good win for Iowa State, and surprised that LSU got knocked out in the first round. Next, we have Davidson and Michigan State, a close game throughout. But yeah, Michigan State, Tom Izzo, getting out of the first round. It's what he does. It's what they do. Davidson, a team that even, since the Steph Curry days, can just score at will, it seems. Unfortunately, a nail-biter and a heartbreaker for Davidson. But, man, Michigan State moves on. And with them moving on, you'll see second round we have Tom Izzo and Coach K going at it, Duke and Michigan State. Next, we have University of Alabama Birmingham falling to University of Houston, 82-68. No real surprise here for me. Houston is a very, very good team. Made it very deep last year, made it in the Final Four. I've got friends that I know that are picking them to win it all, and I wouldn't be surprised. They're a very high-scoring team, and tournament experience as well. So yeah, props to Houston. Next, we have a very, very disappointing result for me. TCU absolutely destroyed Seton Hall. 69-42. Seton Hall had the lowest amount scored in a first half. I don't know if it's in NCAA tournament history, but it was definitely in their NCAA tournament history. They could not score at all. They looked so lost out there, and TCU did not take their foot off the gas at all. I think because I watched until 10 minutes left in the second half, and I was done. But yeah, TCU and seeing it was close till about the maybe 12-minute mark left in the first half, and then you realize this is over. It's over. And I suffered another 30 minutes, or another 20 plus the 10 half, I guess. But yeah, Seton Hall got absolutely stomped by TCU. Wasn't even close. Props to TCU. When you get in a position like that, take advantage of it. Do not take your foot off the gas at all, especially not this time of year. Colgate fell to Wisconsin 60-67. Not a surprising outcome here. I guess the only surprise is that Wisconsin didn't win by more. Wisconsin's a strong team. So that was our final matchup of the first round. Crazy first round, some crazy upsets, some games going to overtime, and some blowouts. And a lot of people's brackets getting busted pretty fast. So I believe it was after the first day I heard something where there was like 13 million brackets, and I think of the 13 million, there was like 100 and something left that were still perfect after the first day. Not after the first round, after the first day of the first round. So absolutely crazy. It's madness for a reason. So we're going to hit up Saturday now, our first day of the second round of the round of 32. Sees a huge upset to start the day. Number 8, University of North Carolina Tar Heels over the number 1 seed Baylor. The defending national champions Baylor fall to UNC 93-86 in overtime. An absolutely crazy way to start Saturday. And I want to know how many brackets were busted after this matchup of the 100 and so whatever that were remaining perfect. Yeah, good game, good going overtime. UNC told you they were looking good, and that's a hell of a victory right there. 93-86 over Baylor. Next, we got another really good game here. Creighton fell 72-79 against Kansas. Creighton looked so good in the Big East tournament. And except for them losing on senior day to Seton Hall to end the regular season, they were looking good this year. And Kansas, I still say, they're my favorite. They're my national champion. So, besides me just saying, they're my national. I picked them to win it all. I picked them over Gonzaga to win it all. That's my national champion matchup. I picked Kansas to win it. I think Kansas is the strongest team in the tournament. But, man, Creighton gave them a run. Creighton's no joke. And 7-point win. Good for Kansas to advance. Great showing by Creighton. Nothing to be ashamed of. Had a hell of a year. Next was a heartbreaker for me. Michigan over Tennessee. Tennessee was one of those teams I really wanted to see go far because, the SEC is never really prominent in college basketball. College football is a whole other story. It's the SEC and then there's everybody else. College basketball, at times it's like it's everybody else in the SEC. And the fact that Tennessee was playing so well this year. And, yeah, the SEC is like Kentucky. It's like Kentucky and there's everybody else in the conference. And when you talk about college basketball, it's usually women's college basketball. When you talk about the SEC, with like the Vols, Lady Vols, Pat Summitt and everything. But man, I really wanted to see Tennessee do well. They fell to Michigan. I don't really see once you get to the second round. I don't really see stuff being an upset because if you made it that far already, you're good. So Michigan, yeah, they're an 11th seed. They're playing the 3 seed Tennessee, but Michigan, they had their issues with Juwan Howard to end the regular season. They fell to a very hot Indiana team in the Big Ten tournament, but man, Michigan so far in the actual NCAA tournament looking really good, and a good win here for them to get into the Sweet 16. Very good, a statement win, if you will. Right here, Richmond and Providence. Yeah, I'm glad to see Richmond lose, especially to a Big East school. Take that. You want to ruin everything, making us have to play a playing game. But no, my biases aside, Providence, winners of the Big East regular season, like I've mentioned, pretty dominant win against Richmond. They're not playing around, and props for Richmond, honestly, for making the tournament and making the second round. Got to give them a lot of respect for that. But yeah, Providence looking very strong, well earned, convincing win. Next, we have UCLA over St. Mary's, a 5 and 4 seed. UCLA had a close matchup in the first round, but then came out and said, "No, we got to show that we are as good as people are saying, as good as advertised as well." And a pretty convincing win over St. Mary's. St. Mary's a hell of a good run in the tournament, making it to the second round. But yeah, UCLA making it out to the Sweet 16. A good win. But right here, holy crap. St. Peter's out of Jersey City, New Jersey, the 15 seed. The upset over Kentucky to get into the second round, and they beat Murray State 70-60 to get into the Sweet 16. Our Cinderella story continues. That is our big Cinderella story of the tournament. They're still in it. They're going to make that run in the Sweet 16. And later on, we are going to preview the Sweet 16 matchups. Of course, I'm going to give some predictions because we are so far out that I'm going to predict the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. But yeah, St. Peter's, hell yeah. Go get them. Next, we have Arkansas against New Mexico State, 53-48. Close matchup here. Arkansas almost got in this matchup. But yeah, Arkansas, strong team. And I'm going to repeat myself, strong SEC this year. And proving why they were one of the top teams there. And proving why they're a 4 seed. Good win for Arkansas to hang on. Hell of a good fight from New Mexico State. Nothing but love for those kids. Next, our final matchup on the first day of the second round saw Gonzaga, the number 1 overall seed, barely survive against Memphis. And holy crap, this was a scary matchup for Gonzaga. Memphis had nothing to lose in this game, for sure. They were very heavily underdogged points-wise and stuff in this matchup. But, man, they fight. They are just a physical team. And I love the fact that Anthony Hardaway is coaching them. He comes from that, 90s NBA of very physical basketball, and his guys are very, very much a physical team. They do make some lax mistakes at times with some of their turnovers. But one thing you can't say is they don't give it all they got. They give physically, mentally, they give it everything they got. Memphis does. I love that team. I hope Penny stays there because there's no reason why this team can't make it back to the dance next year. When you push the number 1 overall seed to that limit and they barely escape with a 4-point win, it's something special. So they have nothing to be ashamed of, and I hope they keep playing that physical style ball because basketball is getting a little soft nowadays, and teams like Memphis that go out there and play very physical, they continue my love for basketball. So, yeah, props to them. Gonzaga barely gets out. They're in the Sweet 16. And, yeah, they only won by 4 here, but there's no saying that they don't dominate their Sweet 16 matchup. Again, every round is different and every matchup's different. So, props to Gonzaga for holding on. Huge props for Memphis for competing. Now we have our second day of the second round, the round of 32, which was last Sunday. We see Houston beat Illinois 68-53. Start the day. Not a surprise here really for me, based on how Illinois barely survived against Chattanooga on Friday night. Literally only having the lead for the last 30 seconds of the game. And the fact that Houston is such a powerhouse and they can just score at will, this wasn't a shocker to me. Houston, pretty convincing win, as they should, in my opinion, especially for what happened on Friday night. Next, we have Ohio State falling by 10, 61-71 to Villanova. Not a surprise here. Ohio State, they did have a good year, but Villanova was very strong most of the year. And then the fact that they had a very strong showing in the Big East tournament final. Even the Big East tournament in general, they had a strong showing. But the fact that played a very physical game and a very defense-centric Creighton team, and they were able to get by. Villanova's looking very strong. They're a team that can definitely make the Final Four. Next, we have the battle of legendary coaches in Tom Izzo and Coach K. The final matchup between the two, because it's Coach K's final season. And Duke, I picked them in my bracket to get eliminated here. I did pick Michigan State to win. I picked Michigan State to get out of the first round, and I picked them to beat Duke and send them home in the round of 32. Boy, was I wrong. Duke played a very good game here. Not to say Michigan State didn't. A very high-scoring game, but Duke played very well. And they need to continue that. They need to continue not just playing well, but they need to continue to avoid the immature mistakes, the immature turnovers, the I'm not going to say lack of effort, but sometimes the lack of intensity at times. But also, they're sometimes too intense and a lot of sloppy fouls and stuff. So they're a very young team, but you're in the tournament right now. You've got to be able to find that balance of keep the intensity up, but do not have that be a burden. Don't get into foul trouble early. Don't cause stupid fouls. But very good win for Duke here. A lot of respect for those guys. They not just me. There are a lot of naysayers for Duke as of late. But yeah, a lot of good job shutting a lot of us up, at least temporarily. Michigan State had a really good year. Good Big Ten tournament run as well. But yeah, Duke, good win. They definitely needed it. Next, we have our first big upset of the day. I'm going to say our first because, as you can see, we have another one. Our first big upset of the day was Iowa State over Wisconsin, the number 11 seed over the number 3 seed. Again, if you are in the round of 32, I feel anybody can beat anybody. I don't care if it's a 15 versus a 1 even. If you are this far in, then you can play. Wisconsin, had a good year. Not to say they didn't, but Iowa State has the momentum right now. They have tournament momentum. And, not a surprise that they were able to cap the upset over Wisconsin. Close game, low-scoring game. So, I didn't watch it, but that tells me either it's good defense or it was just sloppy on both ends. Next, we have Texas Tech over Notre Dame. Their, I guess, Cinderella or play-in journey ends here against Texas Tech. Close game, 6-point game. Texas Tech looked dominant in the first round. So, and Notre Dame played very well against Alabama in the first round. But I think Notre Dame at this point was just, they were out of gas. From the crazy instant classic against Rutgers in the playing game to win as St. Patty's Day hits. To then actually beat Alabama, which I think, I wasn't the only one picking Bama over Notre Dame. Just not enough left in the tank. And Texas Tech is a very strong team this year. But Notre Dame's D held up because, as you can see, Texas Tech only scored 59. Good win for Tech. Good run for Notre Dame. And I said that was the Iowa State and Wisconsin was the first big upset of the day. Well, here's the second one. Miami over Auburn in a convincing victory. 18 points. Miami lost to Duke in the ACC tournament in the semis, but hung with them. And that was enough to give them the momentum they've needed. Very good opening round win, and now a dominant win in the round of 32 over a number 2 seed. This was a trap game for Auburn. This was truly a trap game, but again, I don't feel that if you're this far in, anybody can win. If you are this far in the tournament, anybody can win. But seeding-wise, yeah, another big upset. And I'm not going to sit here and bash the SEC or anything because they had a strong conference this year. Very strong conference. Very strong conference tournament as well this year. But, there's, maybe just Auburn, the grind they had this year to win the regular season, and then maybe the disappointment that fell when they lost the SEC tournament, not even making the final as the winner of the regular season. Maybe, mentally just all, was too much coming into this round of 32. Maybe it's not. Maybe Miami just came out and just kicked ass. But again, good win for Miami. A strong team with a lot of momentum. They're riding that wave. And another team that if they make the Final Four, I'm not surprised. So, our final two matchups of the second round, we saw Texas fall to Purdue 71-81. This isn't going to shock anybody, I feel. But if it was the other way around, it wouldn't have shocked me either. Again, these teams are closely seeded. And this far in the tournament, you really can't, fault anybody really for losing. That's why I'm not faulting Auburn for losing. But Texas had a really good season this year. Purdue had honestly an even better season than Texas this year. And Purdue should have won. It's just that simple. But I'm not going to take anything away from the Longhorns. Great regular season this year. Made the round of 32, nothing to be ashamed of. And I feel they'll be back stronger than ever next year. They're going to learn from the mistakes because they did have some bad losses this year. They had some tough games outside of conference as well. But they did have some losses in the conference. They're going to need to win more in-conference games and more Big 12 games. But yeah, Purdue advances the Sweet 16, and our final matchup of the day saw TCU and Arizona. Arizona, the number 2 overall seed and number 1 seed on their side of the bracket, taking it over TCU 85-80. TCU, hell of a fight. Did not let that dominant win against Seton Hall Friday night cloud their judgment or anything. They didn't have a hangover from that win either. They came out and, but I think that win did boost their confidence because they were able to compete with Arizona as much as they did. But Arizona, in the end, showing why they are the number 2 overall seed and, scoring and winning when it mattered. There's a difference between winning the game and being able to win the game. That's my issue with Duke is they're a very talented team, and a lot of these teams are, but there are teams that are very talented that when it's time to win the game, they just can't. But in this case, Arizona showing they can, showing why they're number 2 overall seed. Props to TCU for making it a hell of a game, and they won it. It went to overtime. So props to TCU for getting it there, and props for Arizona for winning when it mattered. And in overtime, that's when if you go to overtime, that's when winning matters. So that is the recap of the first 2 rounds. We got some upsets. We got a bunch of OT games. We got a bunch of blowouts. Honestly, normal stuff for the tournament. So, where do we go from here? Well, we go to the Sweet 16. And tomorrow we start the Sweet 16. And from my time of recording this, we are less than 24 hours away from the beginning of the Sweet 16. And tomorrow's matchups, we got 4 matchups tomorrow in the Sweet 16. We have Arkansas, the number 4 seed, against Gonzaga. Uh, I'm going to pick Gonzaga in this matchup. Arkansas looking really good. I think they are the last SEC team in the tournament. So they are the last one, I believe. We'll see on the second day because I don't see any SEC teams left here on tomorrow's games. I believe they're the last SEC team. Gonzaga number 1 seed. Man, if Arkansas wins, it's not going to shock me. But because Gonzaga, how many years are they always ranked so high, and they seem to let everybody down with not winning it all. But it's not easy to win it all. I'm not saying it is, but I'm going to go with Gonzaga in this matchup. Next, we have Michigan and Villanova. Michigan has a ton of momentum after a couple big wins in the first and second round. But I'm going to go with Villanova, and it's not the seeding. It's the fact that Villanova is just looking so strong. They didn't get trapped against Delaware, and they also had a good win in the second round. So I'm going to go Nova here. I know that's boring because I'm going with the favorite seeds, but I am. Texas Tech and Duke. This is a pick 'em, and I'm picking Texas Tech. Texas Tech just they look stronger. They look like they know how to win the game at the end of the game. I love for Duke to win. I'm a Duke supporter, Duke fan. But if I'm going to make an honest pick, I'm going to pick Texas Tech. If Duke wins, it doesn't surprise me because they are playing better than they have the last month. But Texas Tech has been playing better the last few months. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech over Duke here. I think it's great that Coach K makes the Sweet 16, but I do not see him getting out of it. And finally, on tomorrow's final matchup of the night, tomorrow night, we see Arizona and Houston. This is a hard game to pick. Arizona had a great OT win to get into the Sweet 16. Arizona is the number 2 overall seed. But Houston looks so strong. And they can score a lot. And they play physical. I'm going to go with Houston. I'm going to go with Houston over Arizona. Some would say it's an upset. I'm not going to say that's an upset. I don't care what the seedings are or whatever. I think Houston's physicality is what's going to get them past Arizona. I think it's going to be a drag-them-out fight. And I think Houston has the physicality to survive a drag-out fight. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to just be a physical matchup, and I favor Houston in a physical matchup. I'd say I probably favor Houston in a physical matchup against most people left in the field. But yeah, I'm going to go with Houston to beat Arizona tomorrow night. So to recap tomorrow night's matchups, I got Gonzaga over Arkansas, Nova over Michigan, Tech over Duke, and Arizona to fall to Houston because of the physicality. Then we have Friday night, which will have our second set of Sweet 16, the final 8 of the Sweet 16 matchups. We have the Cinderella story, St. Peter's going against Purdue, the dominant winner of the Big Ten regular season. And Purdue didn't look great in the Big Ten tournament final. But since then, they looked pretty good. St. Peter's, Cinderella story, right? Shocker that they're in the Sweet 16. There's been a few days now for everybody to soak that in. There's been a few days now for Purdue not to get caught off guard, not to get surprised. I'm going Purdue. I don't see them getting surprised. I don't see St. Peter's being able to pull out anything crazy because of how much time has passed. They're not going to overlook them. They're not looking. I don't think Purdue's a team that's going to say, well, we're at least in the Elite Eight guaranteed. No, they're not going to look past them. St. Peter's has nothing to lose in this matchup. St. Peter's can go all out. But I feel the experience as well as the skill gap between the two is going to show. If this was maybe in the round of 32, or maybe this was in the Elite Eight, then St. Peter's would have a chance because there wouldn't be enough time to not get caught. But I think it's enough times passed where Purdue's going to be well prepared for St. Peter's. I think it's going to be a good game. Like I said, I think St. Peter's is going to play very physical. They're going to have to play physical. But I see Purdue winning. Not a nail biter, but I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as some people might think. Sorry, St. Peter's. I think the Cinderella story ends here, but a hell of a run. And if it doesn't, that's freaking awesome. I'm going to go next match. We got Kansas and Providence. Obviously, I'm picking Kansas. I told you, my overall winners is Kansas. I have them winning the national championship. But this is probably the closest matchup I feel in the Sweet 16. I'm looking at the matchups. I think this is the closest. Providence out of nowhere winning the Big East title this year and looking really well and proving to get to this point that it wasn't a fluke that they won it. Kansas is one of the blue bloods of college basketball, very strong team, but I feel that Providence is going to play it physical. They're going to try to play some Big East ball, which is good. They're going to have to. But I feel when it's going to matter, Kansas is going to score. When Kansas is going to need to score, they're going to score. I think it's going to be a close-ass matchup. If it goes to OT, I'm not surprised. But if it goes to OT, I don't care if Providence has all the momentum going into OT. I pick Kansas to win in OT, definitely. Just based on their experience. Kansas knows how to finish and win games. But, if Providence wins, it shouldn't shock anybody. They won the Big East regular season. Next, we have another really good matchup in the University of North Carolina and UCLA. North Carolina with a huge upset, kicking out and eliminating the former national champions, Baylor. All this momentum on their side. UCLA looking really good. Had a really, they had a little bit of a shaky first round, but a very strong second round. I'm going UNC. You knock out the former national champion when they're and when they come back the next year and they're still a 1 seed. You're looking good. They looked good in the ACC tournament. They looked good beating Duke to end the regular season, and they've looked good in this tournament. UNC over UCLA. I don't see this being nearly as close as some might think or hope it will be. I see UNC winning pretty convincingly. Even if it's by 10, I see UNC controlling this game. But again, who knows? It's the tournament. Might be the funnest matchup, honestly, of the Sweet 16 because you have an 11 and a 10 seed playing to end the Sweet 16. Yeah, an 11 and 10 seed. Iowa State and Miami. I'm going with Miami. I'm sorry, but Miami's just they have momentum as well. Really strong ACC tournament. Really good ACC regular season. They've looked good in the NCAA tournament this year. Miami over Iowa State. It should be a close matchup, but if it's not in Miami, wins convincingly wouldn't shock me. They're riding that momentum like crazy. So those are my picks to go into the Elite Eight. But let's have some fun here. And I'm going to predict the Elite Eights. So, in our Elite Eight matchup, I predicted that Houston was going to beat Arizona, and I predicted Nova beating Michigan. I am going to predict that Villanova beats Houston in the Elite Eight to advance to the Final Four. I know I said how strong Houston was, but Nova's just as strong right now. So I'm going to go with Nova over Houston to make the Final Four. Here I picked Gonzaga over Arkansas, and I picked Texas Tech over Duke. I'm going to go with Gonzaga to beat Texas Tech in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. Shouldn't shock anybody. I have Gonzaga in the national championship game to fall to Kansas. In our second group of Elite Eight matchups, we're gonna see either Kansas or Providence take on either Miami or Iowa State. I am going to pick Kansas to defeat Miami. Not a shocker. Kansas is my national champion. In what should be a very, very good game. I think a very high-scoring game, honestly. Kansas-Miami. And in our final Elite Eight matchup, we're either going to see UCLA or UNC take on either Purdue or St. Peter's. I already said I'm going to have UNC playing Purdue in it. I don't see the Cinderella continuing here, and I see UNC carrying that wave of momentum and beating UCLA pretty good. Not embarrassing, but I see them controlling that game. In this game, I'm going to pick UNC over Purdue. I don't know if my bracket, if I even got to this. I don't think they're in my Final Four, either of these teams. Purdue might be. If they are, and I pick them, I'm not picking them now. But I'm picking UNC to beat Purdue to get into the Final Four. So with that said, my Final Four, as of right now, would look like Kansas, Miami. Oh, no. What am I looking at? My bad. My Final Four is looking like Houston, is looking Villanova, Gonzaga, UNC, and Kansas. That is my Final Four. And then my national championship matchup is Gonzaga versus Kansas, and Kansas winning. So, there we go. We have now covered we recapped the first and second round of 64, the round of 32, previewed the Sweet 16 as well as possibly the Elite 8. So, crazy time. But as you see, we got some stuff to go over, and I'm actually going to flip that around. We're going to first do It's Good. And then we're going to end off with It's No Good. And you'll see why. It's good. So, my It's Good of the week got to be St. Peter's. My God. 15 seed St. Peter's. Out of Jersey City, New Jersey. I'm going to keep saying it. Because they're the only team I got left out of Jersey in the tournament. Of the three that made it. Seton Hall were embarrassed. And Rutgers didn't even get out of playing, even though it was a classic. But St. Peter's, man, hell of a ride, upsetting Kentucky, beating Murray State, getting the Sweet 16. If they can beat Purdue and get in the Elite Eight, that would be amazing. They are my It's Good for this week. Props to St. Peter's. You guys rock. You're kicking ass. Regardless of what happens against Purdue, you guys, nothing to be ashamed of. Freaking awesome, and I love you all, and I hope you keep doing what you do. So that's my It's Good for the week. There are a lot of other things I could probably cover for It's Good because the NFL has been absolutely crazy. Not going to get into that right now. There's been a lot of movement in the National Football League. But again, we're not going to get into that. I can also probably get into some of the NBA stuff. There's been just people are scoring. There are guys just throwing up 50 and 60-point games. Karl Anthony Towns threw up, 60 plus this week as well, or last week as well. Holy crap. People are just scoring. Everybody just want to outdo each other. I love it. It's great competition. But yeah, my main It's Good, St. Peter's. Love you guys. You deserve it. So the reason why I want to cover the It's No Good last, because I feel this is the best way to end the show this week. And for that, I'm going to give, because I don't really want to do any promoting or selling of the next episode after this segment. But next week, I hope to be on next Monday night. I don't think I'll be live, but these videos are, once I record them, I basically upload them. So the next video should be up at some time on Monday. So with that said, we're going to go over It's No Good, and my It's No Good this week is a sad story, and it is the passing of Scott Hall, or some people might know him as Razor Ramon. He passed, I believe, last week, or it might have even been last Sunday. Apparently, he had back-to-back heart attacks, and was then put on life support. And then his family took him off of it when everybody was around, and he was still fighting. But then ended up passing a couple hours after that. But a super sad day for those of us, that enjoyed or still enjoy professional wrestling. Sad day for the sports world of Scott's passing, and it just sucks that he did, because it seemed like, at least in the last few years, he was getting on the right track. With his health and stuff. I think I'm not going to go into it really, but a lot of people know he was been battling some demons for a few years, and in the last few years he's actually been getting on that right path, and it just sucks that once that happened, he ended up passing. But sad day indeed, and I felt it was the best way to end the show. I was obviously not going to do this episode without giving any kind of a shout out or anything to Scott. Rest in peace. You were so awesome, in the ring, from the stories I've heard outside the ring with like fans and charities and stuff. One of the nicest guys in the world. So it sucks that the wrestling world and sports world as a whole lost such a cool dude, and he's Mr. he oozed machismo, the bad guy, Razor Ramon. Hell of a career and a hell of a life. So I just wanted to end that with just shouting out the man Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Hall of Famer, 2-time Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer. So just sucks that happened. But again, that sucks, but stay tuned. The next episode will be dropping next week. And it sucks to end on a downer like this, but be sure to watch the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups. We got a lot of really cool matchups here. So until next week, have a good night, everybody. And be safe out there.
And it's good! Oh my God! Oh my goodness! Oh my